For my refutation speech, I'll be responding to the main claim: teenagers exposed to phones at a young age proves negative effects. Kyle's secondary claims: one, use of phones involves social media, which in turn leads to greater risk of cyberbullying. Two, texting and driving can be fatal. And three, early exposure to sexual content results in increasing practice of high-risk sex. And four, pedestrians experience close call accidents. For his first secondary claim, it states about 1/3 of teenagers experience cyberbullying. According to cyberbullying.org, 1/3 is still a fact, stating that 34% of teens experience cyberbullying in their lifetime. So this information is still accurate to a 2016 study involving 4,500 naturally representative 12 to 17-year-olds. His other supporting claim is that 18% of cyberbullies have been cyberbullied themselves. This percentage doesn't have a number to be based on, so I'll be putting this percentage in the same study of cyberbullying. The statistics showed only 12% admitted that they had cyberbullied another person. So the actual number of cyberbullies being cyberbullied themselves is only about 10.5%. The second secondary claim, texting and driving can be fatal. But honestly, how fatal could it be? In 2015, the National Center of Statistics and Analysts reported that there was 35,092 teenage car accident fatalities, but only 476 fatalities were caused by cell phone use, which is only 1.3% of the total amount of teen car accident fatalities. Also, he uses another supporting claim of phantom pocket vibration syndrome. And what phantom pocket vibration syndrome is: when your phone's in your pocket and your brain thinks that there's a vibration, so you automatically check your phone, but there was no vibration at all, and it was just your brain interpreting that there was a vibration. But in this research, there is no correlation being indicated that there is a connection between phantom pocket vibration syndrome and teens while on their phone. But in your mind, you could kind of picture it being related. But in the study by Dr. Michael Drowan, there was no indication that there was a connection between you checking your phone thinking that there was a vibration and teen car accidents. His third secondary claim is early exposure to sexual content results in increasing practice of high-risk sex. The information used to support this claim is believed to be biased due to the author's Carolyn Ross expertise. Stated by psychologytoday.com, Carolyn Rose is an expert in eating disorders, addiction, and integrative medicine, and has 2 books about proper diet, and it is safe to say that due to her criteria, she has no right to, she has no right to put a direct statement for the people to believe, due to this being about sexual content of of kids being exposed to it early, to her being an expert on eating disorders and basically food diet. And this also supported with one of her claims saying children as young as 8 or 9 years old come across sexually explicit content. With this direct statement, she didn't provide any reference to this fact being true. So it only shows that this is her opinion and she has no evidence to back it up. And for for Kyle's fourth secondary claim, the 43 of pedestrians experienced close calls or were actually hit by oncoming cars. This test was actually tested on children between the ages of 10 and 11, and through the research, there was no connection being made from 10 and 11 to them becoming adults. And with all of this data, although some of it might be true, a lot of it is well represented, and is not well represented, and just needs to be well represented. Thank you.
Well, organizationally, you lay out what the secondary claims are, and then you follow that in the body of the speech, so that part's pretty good. But there's a lot of stuff here that I'm just not sure what conclusion you want me to draw on this. For example, on the first point, you attempt to diminish the importance of cyberbullying being done by people who were cyberbullied, and we go from 18% to 12%. Okay, does that demonstrate that cell phones are not related to this in any way? I don't think that that's the conclusion that you can draw from this. And so although you might have, and I still think that there's some questions about the methodology that's being used there, but even if you are correct, I don't know what it gets you in the long run. How does it minimize the advocate's argument on that particular point? At best, it suggests that the statistic being presented by the advocate is slightly distorted on the issue of whether or not cyberbullies were cyberbullied themselves. But other than that, the rest of the argument is largely untouched, and you don't really say much about it. On the argument concerning texting and driving, this is the place where you actually have something that attempts to diminish the argument. You've got a statistic about the number of teen fatalities. I don't know if that's worldwide or in the United States. 35,000 sounds like a lot of teen deaths in car accidents in the U.S. I think there may be 35,000 total deaths in the U.S. from car accidents. So if that's an accurate statistic, then I think that the follow-up is pretty good, that only 476 of these can be traced to use of texting, and that's a relatively small percentage. Okay, that diminishes the argument to some degree. I don't think it denies that there is an impact, but you could suggest, for example, that there are lots of other activities that teens are engaging in that are far more dangerous and that we should be worried about more than whether or not they have a cell phone in the car. The whole discussion about the pocket vibration thing, I don't know where that's going. I don't know what it gets you in the long run. I don't know that the advocate had a very good, clear sense of why it was being presented either. And it really feels like it just takes up time. On the sexting, or the sext issue, since we're talking about cell phones, that's what I'm thinking about. Sexting is what's going on there. That's the deal. On the exposure to sexual content here, your main criticism of this is that the author's credentials are not in the field in which this argument is taking place. I think I just said that in one sentence. And where are you? You're back there somewhere, right there in front of me. Oh, there you go. I think I said that in one sentence, and it took you a minute and a half to basically make the same argument. And you're just kind of, it's a reasonable press to make. And I did like the second part where you said, in essence, she cites no factual data in her argument suggesting that kids as young as 8 are being exposed to this. However, I'm not sure that any of us would doubt that that's a probable true statement. So even if you're correct that she doesn't cite any evidence on it, in the long run, how important was her credibility to this particular issue? I don't know. It's a reasonable press to make, but I'm not sure that it gets you that much. I have no idea what you're saying on the last argument about pedestrians. I'm getting information about, some study about 10 or 11-year-olds, and I don't know what the point of that argument is. I don't know what the point of the advocate's original argument is. So that just all feels like wasted time at the end. You need to make sure you've got clearer claims on most of your points. All right, thank you. What's our time? I think we can get in one more. Let's do that.